Hey, I'm Dan Moriarty. I'm a product designer here at ExploreLearning and a member of the Content Evolution team working on Frax. My particular focus is on the text and the pedagogy and trying to keep the text as clear and as tight as we can, keeping the reading level appropriate, making sure that feedback is targeted and clear, and kind of big picture to make sure the purpose of each game or task is clear to the students. An example that comes to mind that I've worked on recently is the game Mail Call, which appears in missions 9, 10, and 11 of Sector 2 of Frax. In Mail Call, students add and subtract fractions and mix numbers using a number line sketch. The initial data we got back showed us students weren't getting the concept too well. And what we noticed, interestingly, was that in questions that were just about the number line in isolation, they did fine. But when we used that number line to assess them in adding and subtracting fractions, it wasn't good. So we made a round of changes. First thing we did was fairly straightforward. We switched to something we call sequential entry, which means just that students are entering one value at a time in the fraction. So instead of evaluating the whole fraction at once, they know exactly which number is wrong because we're evaluating it sequentially. Secondly, and really the bigger issue was just sort of the big picture of our purpose with the game. The goal was for students to see that the whole point of a number line sketch is to answer the addition or subtraction problem that they're given. You start with the starting point of the adding or subtracting. You add or subtract with hops. So for example, if you're adding 3/5, you add 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. And then where did you end up? And wherever you ended up is the answer to the question you started with. So, like big picture, we would like students to come away seeing the number line as a strategy for them. It's a visual that helps them understand the math, and it's a tool that helps them do the computation rather than try to do it all in their heads. Ultimately, we don't want students just to get good at Frax. We're trying to create knowledge that they can take with them to any setting, even hopefully to something like a state standardized test, so that students could be given two fractions, say to add, and all on their own, they would think, I should probably sketch this. Make a sketch, here's my starting point, here are the hops, here's where I end up, and that's my answer. That's really what we're after with Frax and with Mail Call in particular.